本当の僕を知らない奴に何を言われても構わないけど君を傷つける全ては許さない Just keep comes alive decide
Shalom and good day all, this is Healing29 back again for another anime review, and in this anime review I'll be covering Blue Exorcist Season 3, Episodes 9 and 10, but first things first, before I actually start to watch through these episodes, I will give you the synopsis for both of these episodes, and what I'll probably do, like after I give you the synopsis, I'll start on Episode 9, to which with episode 9 I'll probably cover that in like the first 10-minute increments, and then the second 10-minute increment plus whatever else extra that is missing. But when I start to move into episode 10, I'll probably move into 5-minute increments, considering both of these episodes are about 23 minutes in length. So for the first episode, being episode 9, it's titled, or the episode is titled Help Me. With the laboratory container now destroyed, Rin and the rest of the team were able to go out of their way to start working on saving Izumo. So we're going to see the return of that character and also what's happening with them. And episode 10 is titled Friends, to which we get to see something more that is happening with Izumo's character, and its synopsis is: forcibly possessed by Nine Tails, Izumo strains her energy to cry for help as the demon's power sort of like seeks to overcome her. So I'll now get started into watching the first episode. I just want to point out that I am doing this review on the 15th of March, so quite likely that this review will go up tomorrow or next day. I know I've been left it a little bit late this week, but it has been a bit busy for me this week to get the reviews done, as I've had some things come up and had to take care of. So let's get started into covering this review. So after starting to watch the first 10 minutes of episode 9, titled Help Me, at the beginning of this episode we see Renzo Shima with Michael Godoyne as they talk about the events that have previously taken place, and Renzo Shima is asked to start to bring Izumo Kamiki for her experimentation in regards to the Nine Tails. Of course, after that takes place, and of course we get the opening into the series, we move into back to the area to which the XYs are at, and they're talking in as well in talking to Michael Godoyne as to why he would do such experiments. And we learn from this particular story, seeing it is actually quite manga accurate of what I remember from reading from the series. We sort of learned that Michael Godoyne is a bit of a monster himself. Well, not a technical monster, but a medical genius type monster, as to he wants to establish an immortality drug. And with this immortality drug, he explains to the XYs made up of Yukio Ren, Suguro, Shimi, and rest of the other characters that I've not mentioned, but they're still a part of the XYs, that he has also laced a lot of the food that in the city, the Inari city, with a lot of these medications that he's put in. It also lets the audience know that some of the experiments that he is involved in also involves a lot of these consumers that he has brought in from the city, and he also has set up ways to which he can use these medical experiments against other people. For example, being the XYs themselves, that because we do get to see him be sort of like take them on in like previous episode. So not long after that, we do see Renzo Shima go to collect Kamiki, or Izumo Kamiki, for her experimentation. And whilst this is occurring, Rin happens to notice that Izumo is being walked along like a type of platform or bridge to a certain area, to which he goes to confront her to try to save her. And whilst he goes to try to save her, we have Renzo Shima once again to go up against him, to which we start to move into the next part, to which we have Kuro helping out the XYs of Yukio and the rest of the characters to take him sort of like to the next place. And whilst this is occurring, we have Rin Okamura now fighting up against Renzo Shima. And as this has taken place a little bit further within the story, we see that one of the experiments has sort of like followed them on the way down to a particular location, to which the fight is still taking place between Renzo Shima and Rin Okamura, to which one of these experiments, in a way, type of devours him. And whilst this is occurring, we do get to see Rin thinking on some of the things that thinking on what Izumo Kamiki told him, that yes, she does want help, but in a way, she's also showing in some of her stubbornness that she still wants to go ahead with this experiment to try not only to save herself, but also to save her mother, but also save the sister that she loves. I'll now pause here and I'll watch the next, or the remaining time, to which I'll be able to share more of the story. So as we move on to the last 10 minutes, or the last remaining time of this episode 9, titled Help Me, I just remembered something from the first 10 minutes as well. There was something that Michael Godoy said, to which sort of like Yukio could see that upset Rin, and Yukio sort of like assured Rin that, not that he didn't mean it, it's just what he said was wrong to him. But as we move into the next 10 minutes after that, jumping into what is happening in regards to Rin working on saving Izumo Kamiki, whilst we see Rin trying to take on it's called a infla zombie, to which Michael Godoy had created. We do see some flashbacks in regards to Rin's past once again, as to sort of like how to sort of like help Izumo Kamiki in this situation. We do get to see him finally escape, but whilst this is occurring, we get to see what's happening with Izumo Kamiki, and she's getting sort of like what feels like her last minute memories before Rin Okamura comes in to save her. And whilst this is occurring, we get to see her thinking back with her time with the XYs. Of course, she sort of brings across in what she's telling us is that she sort of like has a bit of a love-hate relationship with him, much like what you do sometimes with a real family. And this is why I enjoy Kazukato's storytelling, because the way she does write the storytelling, it does grab as like things that are realistic, things as to how people would approach things sort of like in real life, as people might have a love-hate relationship with doctors. In this particular case or story, yes, we do have a bit of a love-hate relationship with the idea of doctors. In this case, we got an evil doctor, sort of like a Japanese Dr. Mengele. And you can see that with some of his experiments that are done here and why he's actually doing them, to get an elixir of immortality up, even at the point of sort of like exploiting others to do that. And whether these people realize that they're being exploited for these experiments or not. In some cases they might know, other cases they might not know. And in this particular case, this is in some cases that they might not know, but in the case of Izumo Kamiki, she is one who does know and wants to sort of like go ahead to try to save her family, mainly in the story, but she also is starting to realize the importance of friends to help out in situations when you need them. Now it's time to move into the next episode. So as we start to move into the first 5 minutes of episode 10, called Friends, we end up having Izumo Kamiki, who is possessed by the Nine Tails, and by the time the rest of the XYs turn up, they help Rin out with taking on the zombies, as well as trying to work out a way how to exorcise the Nine Tails from Izumo's body, to which we get to see Izumo's mother go out of her way to sort of like sacrifice her life to save her daughter, even though it's sort of like a bit of a last minute revelation in regards to her character in the series. We do get to see a transfer of the Nine Tails go over to her. Whilst this is occurring, Michael Godoyne is upset because now that the Nine Tails has left Izumo's body and returned to Izumo's mother's body, she now wants to die with the Nine Tails, so the Nine Tails can basically no longer have any access to sort of like anyone in the world or connected to the family. So it's being done as a way to sort of like protect her daughters, but also protect the Nine Tails from getting into the hands of evil people. So after the next 5 minutes pass in this particular story, we end up having Michael Godoyne using his medical technology to basically summon demons and whatever into his body, to which he then transfers and transforms and changes into a demon of sorts, to which after he does turn into this demon or monster, he ends up eating the zombies, to which we know that these zombies ate medically modified food, to which this medically modified food also plays a part in changing his body some more. Whilst this is occurring, we get to see how the XYs begin to help out with the character of Izumo, as she has now put it in her hands to basically take on Michael Godoyne, but she can't do it without the help of the others, so she is going to get help from the XYs, consisting of Rin, Yukio, and whoever else I've missed. And we also see the return of Miki and Yuki, as they were waiting to be summoned. I must point out we don't see Renzo Shima at the moment, because when we last saw him in one of the last episodes, he was sort of like watching in the background, as it looked like he had been receiving orders from maybe another member of the Illuminati within this particular storyline. And whilst this is occurring, they start to prepare to take on what Michael Godoy has now turned into, and there's quite a bit yet to happen. I'll now wait until after the next 5 minutes are done, and I'll cover what happens in that part of the story until we move on to the last part. So as we move into the next 5 minutes of what happens in episode 10, we do get to see the XYs get some help from reinforcements from the Kyoto branch of the True Cross. And when this is occurring, we do happen to see Renzo Shima basically grabbing one of the people from there and then leaving to be with the Illuminati once again. So not long after the reinforcements turn up at the location, we get to see sort of like a small time of events that take place. I must admit, it's a little bit better in the manga as to what we get to see in this sort of like short time period compared to the actual anime, because it feels like it gives a little bit more detail as to what it shows here. But eventually we do end up moving to sort of like the area of the True Cross Academy Hospital, to which we end up catching up with the character of Takara, who uses basically puppets like for his summonings and whatever else within the story. And we also get to see how he helps out with Izumo Kamiki, letting him know that with some of the information that he has, he knows that her sister is safe, but for safety reasons, she is now under sort of like a new name or an alias name to keep her identity protected. But will we actually get to see these characters reunite? Maybe in the last 5 minutes, or maybe even towards the end of the season. We'll find out when we get to that. And I must admit, it's been a while since I've actually read through this arc. But there are some things I do remember about the arc. And it was really nice seeing Michael Godoy turn into the monster in the story. I knew that there was a monster that would appear, but I forgot when or what time it would appear for the XYs to go up against the monster, and for him to finally back up Kamiki in going up against Michael Godoy, who works for the character of Lucifer in the story. But no doubt, I could certainly tell you that the next 2 episodes will probably start to prepare us for sort of like the next arc that will take place within the Blue Exorcist series. But if you want to check out the next arc, you can also do that by reading the manga before the anime for that particular season does come out. So by the time it does come out, you'll be all caught up and up to date. So as the last bit of this episode finishes off for episode 10, we end up seeing Kamiki, of course, in the hospital, and we realize in the True Cross Hospital, and as I mentioned before, that she's given a key by Takara. She does end up going over to sort of like have a short reunion with her sister, but at the time, her sister doesn't realize it's actually her because it's been so long since they last met each other or last saw each other. And one of the things that sort of like, I guess, cheers up her character, but also upsets her at the same time, is that she had no idea that her sister was in so much safety and that she didn't really have to go out of her way to do such some of the things that she did. In the process, we do get to see a bit of a conversation with Shimi, and to which Shimi ends up getting some information from Paku, who is also sort of like one of Izumo's close friends, who also attends True Cross Academy. And whilst this is occurring, Shimi explains to her that it's really nice to sort of like see her open up and express more of herself, more of her emotions, more of her feelings, as it feels that she's able to now connect with her a little bit more. Even though that she too sort of like comes off as a little bit of a crybaby of sorts, but very shy. So drawing towards the end, we end up seeing some really nice scenes of Twitch. She does finally catch up with members of the XYs and goes to a shrine connected to the Inari or the Nine Tails, to which she's able to sort of like celebrate of sorts, that she knows that things are sort of like in better conditions than what they were now. And not only that, she's also got good friends with her. And that sort of like ends the episode for episode 10. The next 2 episodes will definitely be setting us up for the next big arc that we probably coming whenever that turns up. Whether I'm around to review that or not, I don't know. I'd love to be around. So the next thing is to move into the area of my afterthoughts of these past 2 episodes. I must admit, with these 2 episodes, it was really nice to see some more character development with not only Rin's character, but also Izumo's character. As I've mentioned before, with this particular season, it does seem to focus a lot on sort of like Izumo's character and her development, where in relation, if we were to go to the second season, it focuses on sort of like the members of the Kyoto branch of the True Cross Academy and their sort of like characters and development, and also some of the things that they go there. But it's really nice to see things sort of like begin to center on other characters, and also how Rin and Yukio interact with that. Next is my area for ratings. So for the rating for the main characters, considering mainly being Rin, Yukio, XYs, and yes, I would include Izumo as a part of the XYs because of her work with them. For this, I give it an 8 out of 10, but that is subject to change in the last 2 episodes. Who knows, maybe it might be a 7.5 or an 8.5, depending on how well they execute the last 2 episodes. Whether I choose to do a overall of season 2 or not, I'd like to hear in the comments if you would actually like me to do a overall season review of season 2. If not, I'll probably just end it at episodes 11 and 12 and just leave it there. Moving into the supporting characters, to which many of the supporting characters in this are mainly Gedoing, and we also get to see like other characters that serve under Gedoing. I think for them it's a 7.5 out of 10 as to how well it was executed. Next is the area of the soundtrack. I must admit, I am really enjoying the soundtrack in this, to which I give an 8.5 out of 10. Next is the area of the animation, an 8 out of 10. And last but not least, time to end up with the story rating, to which I give an 8.5 out of 10. I hope things are well executed for the last 2 episodes, because sometimes when you start to reach the last couple of episodes in a season, sometimes it can drop in rating, but in other cases it might raise in rating. Until then, let's keep it colourful and have yourself an awesome day.
本当の僕を知らない奴に何を言われても構わないけど君を傷つける全ては許さない You just keep on the life Decide 離れてる to say You're sad 止まらない距離感と日々 Get try 絶対誰かが意外 を間違えた時さえそうな